This year, Disney spent buckets and buckets of money in order to advertise at the Super Bowl, as they do often every year. Last year, we got a big ad celebrating 100 years of the Walt Disney Company. And this year, we get something that probably cost $7,020 to make. And also, Deadpool officially confirming that Disney means nothing anymore. Looked like a good trailer to some, with some caveats. Let's talk about that here on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place. I'm a culture noticer. And you know what else I noticed today is that Vash is with me. Vash, you doing all right, man?
I'm doing just fine there, Jonas. Actually, very excited about Deadpool coming out. But I know that you might not be, and you have some reservations about this film.
I'm probably not going to see it, or if I go, I'll go watch the original Deadpool and then Deadpool 2 in order to do some. There's some. The thing that concerns me, of course, is the audience that is not quite aware of what Deadpool is and just thinks, "Oh, it's another Marvel movie." But the advertisements at least are indicating that maybe it's a little bit more past that usual PG-13 range for Marvel. Right. So, but before we do that, let's talk about this very expensive ad. I think about that Beyonce ad where it was basically, "Hey, let's compliment Beyonce over and over again."
Yeah.
There's an ad here from the Walt Disney Company, and I'm just clicking through it, and you get the basic idea. If you can imagine some piano music, not Disney branded piano music, but just generic Disney, generic piano music playing over this, playing over different quotes from different things that Disney happens to own right now. Many of them not made by Disney, by the way. Waka Waka, that would be Jim Henson that created that one. Wakanda Forever, yeah, okay. To Infinity and Beyond, there you go. That one, that was distributed by Disney, although not owned by Disney. At the time, this ad is meant to sell Disney Plus, and it is... I mean, I don't know if they ran out of ad budget or if they had to put something together. Pro and I were talking about that one on a video on his channel, and he asked me, how long would it take for you as an editor to make this right here? And I said, if I had to plan it before I did it, less than an hour of work.
Yeah.
If I had to think of all the quotes, okay, let's say 2 hours. This is what Disney essentially means at this point. Oh, by the way, my favorite line of this entire thing here, if I can get it to display, it's down here. You can't quite see it. It says Disney and its related entities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there you go.
That's the key word there, right?
Disney
there, right?
is now the holder, the owner of so many different things that you might like. They are the holding corporation for all of your dreams.
Yes, and that's apparently what the company is now. That's how they treat them, right? I mean, it's these are assets that they manage, and not necessarily embodying the values or the culture or anything relating to Walt Disney himself. It's a very tragic thing, and yeah, I mean, you could put the slogans, I guess, down of your big franchises that you purchased throughout your career, Bob Iger, but it just doesn't have the same resonance, I guess, especially compared to the 100-year Super Bowl ad that they had last year, which was just tremendous.
It was actually a really good ad, even though it focused on some aspects that I'm not necessarily in favor of. I didn't really like. I liked 50% of the spin-off trilogy. And if I call them the spin-off trilogy, I like them a little bit more as opposed to the sequel trilogy.
Right.
And maybe someday those will be decanonized. I don't know. There's probably a whole segment of the audience that just went, "Oh, he said decanonize the sequel trilogy. We hate him now." Guys, I just didn't like the movie. But the thing that I want to talk about is Deadpool, which is, of course, something that Bob Iger also bought when he got the Walt Disney Company shareholders to buy Fox. I'm not wanting to spoil it, although it's out there, obviously, that Wolverine is in the film. Now, it looks like it is the final closure of the Fox X-Men universe, which has about 50% of the X-Men movies that you know and love and the rest. Here's the line, though, in the middle of this trailer. I'm not going to read it out loud, but you can see it blanking. "Is it new for me, friendo? But it is for Disney." Not Marvel, not Daredevil, not any of the rated M for mature or TVMA properties. This one right here, Disney's only Marvel film for the year, advertised in the same event that Inside Out 2 is advertised. The same company that says, "When you wish upon a star." Here is my issue, that they now have this right next to the Disney name. How much money did they spend to make this trailer, to make this movie, and to say that Disney, the company that Walt Disney built, the company that has been associated with a family-friendly image for 100 years, or 95 if we knock off the last 5 or so, to say, yeah, it isn't new for me, friendo, but it is for Disney. I get the joke. The joke is funny on some level. I wish the joke hadn't been made, but here we are. Vash, save me from myself here before I lose the entire audience who doesn't get it when I say that Disney is going down the wrong path here. Not Marvel, but Disney is going down the wrong path here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bold stance to mention the top brand there. I would have thought that they would have steered away from that completely and just dived into the Marvel MCU and everything like that and keep it separated, because you don't necessarily see like the Disney logo in front of the MCU logo, right? When you go to see a film like this, in some cases they'd like you to not necessarily associate the Disney brand with what is featured in the Marvel MCU, because it get a little dark sometimes. This goes out and says it, and Variety had an article, and they wrote this: Deadpool promises to bring his R-rated jokes and fourth wall breaking antics into Disney's squeaky clean brand. This was definitely the intention right here. You know, I'm a little hesitant with you, Jonas. However, this does kind of fulfill, I would say, maybe not a promise, but I think a lot of fans were worried when Disney acquired the Fox properties, including Deadpool, what might happen to this character in particular, and maybe something like the Punisher, but that's a whole other story, right? What would happen to a character like this, and how would he, if he could be incorporated? Like, what would they do? And I remember Bob Iger saying at the time, well, we'll have to see, we'll have to examine, but there might be a place for him within this MCU fold. And now that promise has been, or that statement, I guess, has been fulfilled here in our first look at this hotly anticipated movie. You know, Jonas, I think you were concerned that there might be a portion of the audience who might not expect that this is going to be like definitely a step in some direction from the MCU brand of humor, right?
Yeah, I'll point out that my concern was that Disney would try to shave off some of those edges in order to market this film to as many people as possible.
Yeah.
Because it seems like the amount of money that they probably had to spend in order to secure Hugh Jackman for the reshoots that they've had to do in order to finish this film, that this is probably a $300 million film easily, which means they need to make more than $800 million in order to get a profit, because they will be marketing it. This is their best chance at more than $1 billion this year. By the way, for all of the quote unquote success that the X-Men movies have had in the past, none of them have made $1 billion. The most successful film, and I'm not saying Deadpool is the property here. I'm saying X-Men, Days of Future Past, X-Men X2, and X-Men Last Stand. My goodness, X-Men Last Stand. Yikes. None of those made as much money as Deadpool 2, which made $786 million. And that was when those were the most favorable circumstances for a film to make $1 billion. Also, the only R-rated film to ever get more than $1 billion was Joker. That film definitely made money and was not reflective on the overall DC brand in general. With this one, though, I think the Marvel brand is going to be heavily tied into it, and it's Ryan Reynolds. He knows it's funny, so he's going to use Disney as often as they allow him to in marketing and making jokes for the film. Yeah. I don't want to sound like I'm making a comment on the film. I know what the film is. I don't think kids should see it. This is a problem to me that Disney has brought into this, and that Bob Iger probably had to sign off on that line, because I don't think that Bob Iger actually cares about the brand Disney itself. To me, at this point, it's getting closer to the significance of the name Comcast, in my opinion.
It's definitely heading that direction. I disagree with you slightly. I think Bob
Please do
Iger.
go ahead. That's fine, and I'm sure the comments are going to be interesting on this video.
Yeah, I think Bob Iger really does care about the brand, but for the brand's sake. Does that make sense? Like he doesn't look at it as Walt's company. He looks at it as the brand of Disney, and so that it kind of outshines, let's say, its creator, which is really unfortunate. I do think, there had to be some top level executives who signed off on this. For sure. It makes a statement piece, though. It accomplishes several things that I think fans and maybe people who may not know about Deadpool previously, I think it accomplishes things for them, too. Also, too, noteworthy in this whole trailer right here is that it is really kind of leading into, getting them into the MCU there. We can see some classic Avengers, even Thor Ragnarok here, iconography being established right here. They're throwing them in here. And I remember a plan being detailed to me, this would have been probably 5 years ago now, that would have had Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman and some others incorporated into the MCU in some way. Didn't know what the catalyst of that might be. You can see what happened in Patrick Stewart's case, but for Hugh Jackman to doing it this way via Deadpool, I think is a smart move.
Yeah, I do think I see the business case here. I just wonder if when they bought this film, when Bob Chapek greenlit this film, and now Bob Iger has it, I think that this was something that could have existed on its own. They probably didn't account for the deterioration of the Marvel brand itself at the hands of probably overextending Kevin Feige and of course Bob Iger and his content machine, focusing on Disney Plus more than anything else. There's a pretty good case to be made that Disney Plus has killed the entire company. If this was just one movie and Marvel was releasing their usual glut of 3 or 4 Marvel movies a year, and this was just one, I don't think this would be as big of a deal. If this was a line that was in the movie and it wasn't in the trailer, I don't think this would be as big of a deal. Or if it's just a reference to this, but not also having Disney in the exact same sentence, again, I don't think it's as big of a deal. It's just this being in the advertisements for it. It
makes a statement, though. It makes a statement. It's like, hey, look, listen, just because we're under this banner doesn't mean we're going to shy away from it. And they kind of lean into it, which I respect. Although I do agree with you, Jonas, because this is a brand that's been associated with entertainment for the ages. It's a big risk for sure, but it's one they wanted to make.
I would shy away from the Illumination brand if Deadpool was associated with Illumination.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you would if you had a character like this, you wouldn't necessarily associate with DreamWorks or Illumination or anything else. Going right to that, though, I do agree with you. I mean, maybe there was a world where Deadpool was a little bit more, isolated or insulated from some of that core. But like you said, the MCU has gotten so terrible.
They put Deadpool, and he's actually a big focus in the Lego Marvel games as well, because he gets to kind of break the fourth wall. He's a fun character. I get it.
He is.
I think that Ryan Reynolds is immensely talented. Now, that being said, the trailer itself, I'm going to say something that runs counter to what people might think. You might think I hate the trailer. I think the action in the trailer actually looks pretty good. I am curious about this film and what's going to be in it. The part of me that wants to, the flip move with the guns, that looks really cool. And the choreography there looks really cool. So I'll say I am tempted to watch this movie. I'm also, there's a better part of me that says I don't want to support this thing because this is not the direction that I want the Walt Disney Company to go. And it's not Marvel that I'm saying here. The Walt Disney Company is leaning hard into R-rated content here. If Marvel was a brand that they didn't market to kids, this would be a completely different matter. That's the problem that I have here. Vash, should I allow you to say something here before we wrap up? Go ahead.
One thing. It's interesting. People think of Pulp Fiction as obviously a classic, but one, if you were to see that movie, like, whoa, this is very extreme content here. People don't remember that, yes, it was produced by Miramax, but Miramax is as a division of the Walt Disney Company. And there was that kind of insulation, right, from the core brand in which they can kind of stretch their creative legs on. And so people forget that Pulp Fiction has anything to do with Disney. And yet it does, until you walk outside of Muppet Vision 3D and you see this parody poster of Miss Piggy as the the one of the lead characters there, and it says Plump Fiction on it, and that's always hilarious to me because it's like, oh, I forgot that's a Disney film. So
that's a very good point.
There are examples of this in history, but one never touching Disney core, and yet this is.
Right, and this is a Disney pillar brand. Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars. Those are the core brands of the Disney company. No, that being said, I do realize it is a different company than it was 100 years ago. It maybe no longer a family company. But again, comment below if you got something to say. Like this video. If you like this video, share it out. If you know someone who wants to shame me for my prudish takes on Disney not being associated with. But there you go. And please consider subscribing to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.